Hi everyone, welcome to All Four Queens 555 on this Thursday morning, 2nd of July. I was watching the full moon yesterday. It's massive in the sky, and I was trying to sort of get a picture of it, but it just wasn't recording very well. But it was like about 2 o'clock in the morning when I woke up. But I wanted to sort of film it out, but it just wasn't doing anything. And what was happening was obviously there was a lot of negative energy being projected because the trees were like swaying all over. But yeah, so first of all, let me introduce myself. Welcome to the channel. It's all about healing, warfare, and awakening. And you'll see if you've been watching my channel, it's very much about the abuse that I've gone through during the warfare. I like to share it because I think it's good that people see what people do to other people. And when you awaken, it becomes even more prevalent. The things that you've been subconsciously aware of, but you've never really had the evidence to see it, and then obviously there it is in your face. Because when things are done in the spiritual realm, you can't see it, but when people bring stuff down into the physical realm, there's physical evidence, isn't there? And obviously you can see that on my channel. So today's session, I wanted to talk around smear campaigns. Now there's two things I'm going to do, but I'll do the other one on a separate one. Excuse me, because I'm going to burp in a minute. And if I do speak a bit weird, excuse me, that's a spiritual burp. I've got a lot of people pulling on my energy because we are in that particular time of that divine timing where we are in reap what you sow. So I have got a lot of people pulling on my energy. I've just made a call to a practitioner to see if I can get some cleansing done, but I'll sort that out later. So wanted to talk about smear campaign because obviously when you hit into spiritual warfare, you find that a lot of things are said and done behind your back. And it usually is a smear campaign to sort of discredit. You'll see on my channel that's probably linked to the global strategy as well, and people using my identity to create loads of debt and just create a narrative about who I am. And then you'll see on the other one where I said someone built a brand, and that was me, and just to try and make me out to be something I'm not for a specific reason. So let's get into it. Smear campaign. Now you can find this on Google, Wikipedia, and obviously I've got some coaching books that talk roughly about it as well. Smear campaign is that the same as undermining people? What is their purpose? So I've written that. Is it the same as undermining people, and what is their purpose? Is planned, deliberate effort to damage a person or organisation's reputation, credibility and character. It involves spreading lies, rumours, half-truths or selectively distorting information to undermine public trust and turn others against the target. Now you'll see as well I did put the push-pull, and I did do the subliminal as well, so you might want to check that out. Highly strategic and relies on psychological manipulation to achieve their goals. Now also on the bullying campaign, psychological warfare as well, emotional, psychological, spiritual, sexual and financial attacks. The narrative control. The instigator attempts to frame the story before the victim has a chance to defend themselves. Mixing truth with lies. Effective campaigns often weave real facts with exaggerated or fabricated details to make the lie more believable. Excuse me. I've got someone doesn't want me to speak, but we're going to get it out. And I haven't got any water with me, but just bear with me. Isolation. The ultimate goal is often to alienate the target by poisoning them, their social, familiar or professional support network. Now that's happened to me. I'm going to keep going because I want to keep my channel real and authentic, and I want people to see what these energies do. This is what they do. They try and pull on you so much, and they try and hit you there, and they'll hit you there, and they'll do everything to try and stop you from speaking, because technically they do all this stuff, but they want to do it in the shadow. They're not authentic, but they hit people, they attack people that are authentic, and I want people to see what they actually do in real time. So yeah, so I've got somebody hitting me there now. Devero. A common tactic used by the instigator is to deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender, meaning they act as the victim if the target tries to defend themselves. So basically, they'll try and say that they're the victim, although they victimise somebody. And also, we know from my situation, they've tried to make out that I've got all sorts of illnesses that I haven't. I was just basically isolated, blocked out of my life, out in the cold of my own trust fund, and abused so that people could steal my energy and my money and everything else and all my assets and everything. But that's what they'll do. So once they get caught, they'll try and make out that they're the victim. And obviously, they're master manipulators. So that's why it's so important to have test the spirit, but also have a high sense of discernment and intuition. And obviously, you know that I like scripture, and obviously, scripture is very good for that as well, because obviously these people do control, and they work off control. Common content: smear campaign is heavily associated with political propaganda and tabloid journalism. It frequently happens in everyday life. Relationships frequently deployed by narcissistic or manipulative individuals following a breakup, divorce, or the end of a business partnership. Now, when I awakened, I obviously hit into a lot of that narcissism, psychopath, sociopath. That for me, it's a spirit, and jealousy and envy spirits that these people allow to be part of their aura. And sometimes they will just come out and outrightly attack you, because obviously their world has changed when we wake up, because obviously everything they've been doing is exposed, and the truth will always expose every lie, won't it? And so if they've lived on lies, the smear campaign, to have a great life, and then all of a sudden you pop out and you tell the truth, obviously you're then perceived as a target, because obviously you've crushed their lies. Now, if they carry the spirits as well, they obviously get triggered as well, don't they? So just be mindful of that. But obviously, that's we can't be responsible for how someone receives information. We can only be responsible for how we receive it. We can't be responsible for somebody else and somebody else's healing. That's up to them to do that, and up to them to recognize it and reflect and ask themselves, why did I operate like that? Why did I attack? And so when I look at my channel, for instance, I read energy and a story. Now, I didn't actually at the very beginning say it was related to me, but someone decided to own the story. So by owning it, it became a live story. And then because they owned it, more and more revelations came out. Had they have left it, it probably wouldn't have got to where it is today. But that's hindsight, isn't it? The workplace used by malicious colleagues or competitors to sabotage career or business standings. Well, we could say that about my channel, couldn't we? I mean, my channel was doing really well, and then all of a sudden someone came along and has just basically messed with the views, messed with the subscribers, mess with the comments, mess with the thumbs up, everything. So, I've said before, I do believe it's obviously somebody that is affiliated who works in there as well, because these affiliated members are everywhere, aren't they? Public activism employed against journalists, whistleblowers, or advocacy groups to discredit their work and silence them. Now, I could say the same about me. It was used to discredit me, wasn't it? And try and make out that I didn't know what I was talking about. But obviously, it's not for me to provide the evidence. The evidence is to be found by the people who should be investigating it. And as you've seen on the police report, no one did anything. I probably wouldn't have suffered all the crimes that I did had they have done their job in the very beginning. But I know that there was a lot of illusions, and they walked away for whatever reason. However, not one person spoke to me. Not in terms of what the crimes were, anyway. How to respond. Do not react. They count on an emotional defensive reaction to make the claim appear true. Spiritually, it's an attempt to be relevant and to steal energy to harvest through emotional reaction. No, it is. I mean, I would say there's a little bit. I mean, I've just looked it up this morning on narcissism, and it says it's not a mental illness, but it's a disorder. But I think that they don't know how to emotionally regulate, so they go on the attack. But the problem with that is that makes it worse, because when you look at it from a spiritual perspective, you're actually creating more karma and more curses for yourself by attacking and not addressing the reason why you feel aggrieved in the first place. But because they don't reason, they just do that. They go on the attack, and then they try to just discredit people. But for me, anyone who's got good discernment would ask the question, well, why are they doing that? What are they trying to hide? Rather than jumping on the bandwagon and going with it. Hence why I posted about due diligence. It's so important to do due diligence, because if you don't and you do jump into it, you enter into a demonic contract with them, and then you end up picking up their karma. So, obviously we know that some say go no contact. Sometimes if someone's main intent is to cause harm with dishonesty, disengage from the people whose purpose is to seek attention and reaction they desire. Document everything, save all communication messages and post in case of legal action for defamation or harassment becomes necessary. Now, I'm not giving legal advice, but you'll see there are some things on there that I've posted where I've gone through defamation. And it is harassment because of the constant attacks. Now, there's constant attacks on the physical, but there's also spiritual ones as well, where they're constantly attacking me, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. Can you resolve only if the person is willing to do the inner work and to understand who they are and why they need to run a smear campaign to harm others? Insecure, emotional and manipulative immaturity undermine credibility and tarnish reputation and break up family units. They can be vengeful, vindictive, controlling and obsessive. They're also very intrusive. They don't understand boundaries in all areas of one's life. So for my instance, someone kept calling work, and I was always getting made redundant. Now, I don't think it's because I think they were part of a group, obviously a network, so that the company was probably part of it as well. But they were just spreading loads of lies, and I was never given the right to reply. I don't actually know what they said. They just said they were doing a restructure. So yeah, so I think if we look at it from that perspective, I mean, we're not blaming them, because obviously from a spiritual perspective, we've all got a responsibility to look at our own behaviour and heal. That's not saying everybody wants to heal. Some people just want to project at other people and blame them. I don't know what traumas they went through, and they don't know mine. But as adults, we're responsible to look at it and do something about it, aren't we? And I mean, spiritually, if we want to awaken and raise our vibration, we have to look at it. And we're not responsible for what people did to us. They're not our burdens to carry, but we are responsible to look at them and make sure that we don't carry that generational curse onto somebody else who's not, doesn't deserve it. And it's abuse, isn't it? Whichever way you look at it. If you're attacking somebody because you refuse to heal, then you're abusing somebody because of your trauma, which is then basically creating another generational curse on your bloodline and actually causing challenges for somebody else. So I just think that, as adults, we have a responsibility to look at it and seek the help we need. So I hope that helps. Obviously, from my perspective, I still get blocked a little bit, but I am going to try and move out of that now and try and get some support where I can, as the wheels turned a little bit and it was a little bit closed in, because obviously there was a smear campaign and it was quite vicious. But obviously now I feel like God has stepped in and the spiritual realm has stepped in and the righteous people are watching what's going on, and I think they're putting the pieces together now. So I feel a little bit more like I can step forward a little bit and move forward. Obviously, that whoever my abusers are and the bullies, they took the car away and they made it difficult with the car and stuff like that, and obviously they completely destroyed my credit. So trying to get a new car is a bit difficult at the minute, but I'll pray on it and I'll make sure I do get one. But yeah, so I've kept it the way I have, but I just want it to be authentic and let the people to see what actually happens in real time. And you'll see on other readers where they'll get coughs and stuff, and it's like people are just pulling on you and just don't want you to speak because they don't want the truth. They'd rather stay in the bed of lies. But God sits in truth, doesn't he? And that's what we're all about, is truth and getting it all out, honesty, and then getting a world where there's not this dense negativity and deception and manipulation and stealing and corruption and all that sort of stuff. Let's just get it out. And if people, I've always said at the beginning, I have no problem if people want to prey to. But what I don't agree with is the fact that they hide it and then they try and steal our energy and walk in false light and then do horrible things to people in the background. I don't agree with that. I think if you are of the dark, say you're of the dark, so people have a choice to be a part of it or not. And then don't go around stealing from everybody else. Just stay crabs in a barrel and do your own thing together. And let people who are of the light, who want to grow and want to expand, do so. Because it's a free world, and we all have choice, and no one controls anyone. And I keep seeing the advert click and collect, and for me, no one buys anyone either. And if they do, they're going down the T road, aren't they? TRAFFICK, which obviously is illegal anyway. So I think people just need to be mindful of what they're actually putting out, really, because that was a subliminal advert that I've seen quite a lot, and I do believe that's what people believe they've done. They think they've bought people. So smear campaign, and I think because people have moved away, 2020 we all moved away, smear campaign became a big thing, because I think what they thought they were in control of was taken away. So smear campaign, check it out. Be mindful of all the things, strong discernment, obviously spiritual cleansing, and keep yourself safe. And I'm sending so much peace, harmony, and healing to everyone. And I hope to see you on the next one. See you later. Bye.